Hello, friends and family. I've been meaning to do this video for about a day and a half now, but every time that I've tried to do it, I ended up crying or having a panic attack, curling up, rolling over. A lot has developed for me over the last couple of months. Maybe as some of you have noticed, just seeing my changes over different posts. And in classic LD fashion, I strive for absolute authenticity, to know myself and to share my whole self with others. I am seemingly unable to play pretend, which is an absolute strength in my opinion, and also absolutely terrifying, because it means that when things like this happen, I have to be willing to put everything on the line in order to stay true to myself, which I am. And so I have told almost no one. Again, maybe some of you have caught on, aside from the people very immediate to me in my house and the city that I'm living in currently, in Victoria. But I am transgender, and I am very excited to be starting steps, currently seeing a doctor about gender affirming care, which is very cool and very liberating for me. It's been quite a journey to get to this point of acceptance and not just pure repression, where I grew up in rural Alberta. Zero transgender role models, don't really know that they exist. And a lot of fear around being gay, a lot of homophobia where I've come from, to the point that it was never safe to even recognize this within myself until I am now nearly 30, which is another reason why it feels so important to come out with this. So I guess I have so many things to say, way more than I want to share on a short video. And, I had some jot notes and stuff, but honestly, it feels like there's too much going on to try and read out what I had planned, I guess. So I'm trying to do this off the cuff. So I guess things to know about me are, I do not use the names Danielle or Lady Dan. Lady Dan always felt like a really itchy sweater that someone gave to me, and I really like that person, and so I wanted to wear the sweater to make them happy, and a lot of other people liked it, so I kept wearing the sweater, but now it feels really good to take it off. I use the name LD, ELDIE, and my pronouns are they, them, or he, him. It is an absolutely overwhelming amount of emotional energy to think about explaining transgenderism and why these things are important. So if you are interested in furthering relationships with me and other trans people, I'll post some links, because it can be traumatizing to be mistreated in this. Transgender people have actually existed since the beginning of time. There are records as old as 9,000 years ago. And there's constant and consistent erasure, and degradation and abuse towards transgender people, in the past, and in some parts of the world still, people who don't fall into a binary male or female, or even are even considered closer to God, or holy people. And I think that that's really beautiful, because to me this transition feels like a holy process. It feels like the part of me that has been living in a feminine role and didn't fit it and didn't feel like it. Like I have some pretty incredible views on femininity and what it means to be a woman, because I can see it sort of from outside of that container. And it feels the same for masculinity, of having not had to fit a role and not just being told who I am and how I should be, that I get to explore that from a pretty beautiful lens. And so I guess with all of that said, the second really scary part of this video is that there's more. A really huge part of what has helped me finally feel safe in my body and come to terms with who I am and accept it and acknowledge it instead of just running away like I have been for the rest of my life is a few practices that I do daily. I meditate for 2 hours each day, and also have been practicing Ashtanga yoga 6 days a week of asana at a studio here in Victoria. I actually started this practice about 2.5 years ago in Banff, and I have been practicing yoga for 9 years, almost 10 years altogether. And as I've been, ungrounded and moving all over the world and all over the place, often living in a car or living in a tent or living on the streets or living off a bicycle or living, in absolute chaos on other people's couches with strangers or with friends. A huge thing that has helped me is a consistent or semi-consistent or really reluctant yoga practice, being able to show up for myself and in my body. And wherever I've traveled, I've found studios with introduction deals so I could join for a few weeks at a really cheap rate, as well as teachers have often invited me to classes for free or invited me for a certain period of time for free because they could just see that even when I couldn't afford it, that the practice is really a part of my life and of what helps me feel safe and of whatever I can offer to the class in my own self by putting me in there. It is beneficial to a lot of people. And so for a long time, I've wanted to take a yoga teacher training, including even just over a year ago when I was staying at my friend Ben's house in Montreal. We practiced nearly every day together around the corner. And as many of you might know, Ben took his life in November. And so about a year after I'd stayed at his house. And when we were together, we were talking about, he wanted to do a yoga teacher training and I wanted to do a teacher training. And we talked about maybe even doing it together. And he's, as someone who's helped start many cooperatives, we were pretty excited at the idea of this yoga scheme of being able to start a cooperative to help way more people get access to yoga. And, both coming from poverty of making it way more accessible to a lot of people who don't fit this description that we in the West have kind of associated with yoga of like middle-aged, wealthy, white women who are hot and fit, and both of us being like pretty grungy, and wanting to change who is able to show up and feel safe in that space. And so when I started at this studio in Victoria, the day I was planning to start, a few hours before my first session, a friend came over to tell me that Ben had passed away. And that day, I still showed up at yoga. And it was the start of this challenge, of a 6-day-a-week challenge. And so then for 6 days a week after that, I kept showing up. And it was ugly. I was brand new there. I didn't know anybody there. And I was crying nearly every day, heaving and moving through this process. And for the first time in the decade that I've been practicing, this practice became bigger than me. It wasn't just me on the mat anymore. It felt like it was a living memory and an active grief process, and all of the feelings that were bubbling up, I could work through them and work them out of my body, and I could show up and be myself on the mat and being that place really allowed me to just stand strong in myself and know, like, whatever people think of me, this is, I have no control over this. I can't hold it in. And so, yeah, so that was kind of the first time for me that my practice became more about just me. It also became this thing to share with someone who I loved. And since then, as I've started transitioning, as I've stood more strongly in myself and gotten to know myself better and peel off the layers that have hidden me through this practice, I've really recognized how no matter where I've been in the world, all of the studios, all of the shalas, all of the teachers, all of the people, I've never once done a class with a trans person. And in a practice that's designed to peel the layers off and to peel the armor off, I have had to go in this body that doesn't feel like it shows who I am properly. And I've had to put on armor to protect myself, which is pretty counterintuitive. And so as I study now to become a teacher, I am so excited about the prospect of being able to share a free space for so many people, and especially for trans people like me who feel that we have to armor on to feel safe, to not be inundated with intrusive questions where we aren't judged or mislabeled or mispronounced or misgendered or any of those things, where we are just free to be ourselves and show up and say, this is my name, this is how I identify, and I'm here to feel good in my body. So that's really exciting for me. And yeah, I guess that leads me to the next big thing, the next big reason that this video is being made. Check out my sweet hair. That's not it, but this is really great hair. Is that as I was offered an inclusivity scholarship at another studio, but part of my big thing this year is really trying to build relationships that will last longer than a few months, because that's what I've had to do for so long on the road. And so being at this studio with these people who I've cried in front of a bunch, I was offered a scholarship at another studio, but I really wanted to stay at my current studio. And as I told my teacher about that scholarship and that I might be leaving on the spot, she offered me a scholarship, which did not exist at all at this studio, but she's very committed to creating an inclusive space and really just wanted me to be a part of that, which feels absolutely incredible. And so a part of that process was applying for grants, and the other part of the agreement was that, hey, if none of these go through, we can offer you a 50% discount on the normal price. And so the studio is taking a 50% hit, which is so incredible. And I'm so absolutely grateful that that's been offered to me. And so I've started the training and none of the grants have gone through. So it's come to a point now at which I will be paying 50% of the price to do this teacher training. The thing is, I don't have 50% of the price for this teacher training. And so I am starting a fundraiser in hopes that all of you fine folks might be able to share a little bit of what you have, and certainly not out of obligation, only if it's easy for people. I never want anyone to feel like they have to do anything. I can tell you that I think that this is a really special thing. I have many friends here who are intent on creating brave and safe community spaces, and that my passion for teaching and sharing these things that have let me feel so strong and free in myself, that it will be put to good use to help others feel the same, to help others feel like they can be who they want and like they can have courage and authenticity and joy and happiness in who they are, and how they show up in the world. And so yeah, if you would like to help out, that would be awesome. I would greatly appreciate it. And if there are other ways that you would like to help out, we always need more allies. I am putting myself at risk by coming out with these things and by saying these things. And I don't know. This is how my mom and dad are finding out. What do I want to say here? There's something else. There's something else that wants to come out, and I'm not sure what it is. Whoever you are and whatever you've been through, all of those experiences are valid, and all of the feelings that you've had are valid, and all of the ways that you've had to protect yourself or hide yourself or play pretend, they were all there to keep you safe, and that's okay. And if you are scared about being your true self, know that there are always people who will catch you and support you, and that your truth is valued and that your truth helps others. Thank you. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for being here with me, and thank you for being you. Thank you for being a part of my life thus far. And if this changes our relationship at all, I hope you find what you need in this lifetime, and certainly wish you luck and wish you love, regardless of all of the transphobia that you've been taught to have, or all of the hate or the confusion that lives within us. Certainly, as I started to transition it wasn't like, woohoo, I finally know who I am. It was like, fuck. We've been taught to hate trans people, and we've been taught that they don't exist, or that there's something wrong with them, or that maybe that's the result of them needing more attention, or all of those things, of just that it's not allowed to just exist as it is. But I am here, and I just exist as I am, and as I acknowledge these parts of myself, I feel more and more myself, and more free, and more excited to face the day. And when I've wanted to die for so much of my life, I don't now. I get really fucking scared. But for the first time ever, I can imagine a future for myself where I'm able to just be me. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Hope y'all have a great day. Thank you.